The USA had what's called a bond auction. A bond auction is when you can, as an American citizen, you can bid on bonds. Sovereign bonds, which is going to be in the form of T-notes, with maturity dates of 1 to 10 years. T-bills, which got maturity dates between 1 to 10 years. What this bond auction does is, so $42 billion worth of 2-year notes were auctioned off. What this does is, this tells us the credibility or the credit worthiness of a country. Right? So let's talk about how bonds are used for a second. Let's say I wanted to build my studio. I needed $100,000. I needed $100,000, so I had up for auction 10 $10,000 bonds. Right? Y'all with me on that? Each bond gave you a yield of 10%, which means you bought the bond for $10,000. If I had a 3-year maturity on it, that means the first year I would give you $1,000 back, because 10% of 10,000 is what? 1,000. So the first year I would give you 1,000 back. The second year I will give you 1,000 back. The third year I will give you 1,000 back plus your 10,000 back. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to everybody? That is a 10-year bond. That is a 3-year bond with a 10% yield. So the maturity on the bond is 3 years. The percentage on the bond was 10%. The bond costed $10,000. So 10 bonds at $10,000 gives us $100,000. So I wanted to borrow $100,000 without going to the bank and putting that debt on my balance sheet. So I issued bonds, which is paper notes. I issued the paper notes out. The paper notes said, listen, for this $10,000, I'm going to give you 10% for 3 years. So I'm going to give you 1,000 1 year, 1,000 2 year, 1,000 the third year, plus your $10,000 back. That's how bonds work. That's how bonds work. Okay? Now, today, $42 billion in bonds on a 2-year notes were auctioned off. Now, here's what I want you to understand about that. These sovereign bonds, you and I can get. Inside of these bonds was called intraday government bonds. What happens is 90% of those bonds are in, watch this, Social Security, pension plans for government and military workers. 90% of that is inside of that. Now, these bond auctions, you and I are also allowed to buy bonds from the government. You and I are allowed to buy bonds from the government. I want you to know that. You can go to treasurydirect.com.gov, or you can go to your bank and you can buy government bonds. Now, it may not be the best. Now, let me say this. Let me be 100% sure. You will not get 10% on no bond. Let me clear that up right quick. I use that as an example for simple mathematic purposes. You is not getting no 10% on that bond. You know what I'm saying? So you're not getting that. But that's how the government pays you in bonds. So I definitely want to put that out there, man. Let y'all know that. Let's go, man. How y'all feeling, man? Listen, I came to teach tonight. You know what I'm saying? Again, we talked about it, man. The bond auction is how you gauge the credit worthiness of the government, right? It is a way for the public to simply invest in bonds, whether it's in T-bills, T-notes that mature, right? 1 to 10-year bonds, maturity on it, Social Security. This is a great way if you want it. So what happens is we talk about fixed income. When we talk about fixed income, that's mostly what people are talking about. When we talk about fixed income, people are talking about bonds. Let's go, man. Ain't we trapping tonight, man? I feel good, man. All right, so I want to get into this right quick, man. I thought about something and I said, yo, let me talk to the people about what I see myself doing for the next 5 years. I'm thinking about setting up what's called a big trap ETF, right? Now, it's not going to be for y'all to invest in. It's going to be for us to track how trap doing in the market. You feel me? So every time we're going to show, like, annually what the big trap ETF is doing, we're going to, you're going to have a little fun, man. We're going to put that up, and we're going to say, so for the next 3 to 5 years, here's what I see, man. I see defense, aerospace and defense. I see technology. I see healthcare. I see banking. I see agriculture. I think these are the 5 sectors that we could be in over the next 5 years. And I'm going to just break it down to you why I said it. So first on the list is defense, right? So when we're looking at defense covers everything: land, sea, air, capabilities of electronics, and cybersecurity. We're talking weapons, we're talking satellites, we're talking about intelligence, we're talking about even certain medicines can be defense because biological warfare is a thing. I don't care what nobody say. That's how we got COVID. I don't care what nobody talking about. And I feel like there's going to be another way for people to fight wars. People not about to be going bomb and do all that no more. Why? Because it's easier to give somebody a cough. It's easier to put something on the surface, somebody touch it, you get monkeypox. This is how these things happen. So the next thing I feel like we should be in is technology. While we're talking about the manufacturing of electronics, we're talking about the creation of software, computers, products and services that relate to information, chip manufacturing. Listen, y'all, the technology sector is the most attractive growth industry in the economy. Because when we think about forward thinking, what we do see is as we grow as a country, so will technology. So if you're looking inside of these type of industries, then that's where I think we should be at. The next thing I think we should be at for sure is maybe healthcare, right? Healthcare is 100% the second or third biggest industry in America. We're talking about biotech companies. We're talking about health insurance providers, pharmaceutical companies, companies that manage the clinics, hospitals. We also talking about companies that produce home health products. Like the healthcare is definitely a fast-growing industry. Also, there's a thing called med tech, which is medical technology, which is where I like to be at too. We're talking about pacemakers, heart makers. We talking about, any type of electronic that go, because, they're putting chips inside your heart, inside your brain to breathe. Like med tech is definitely a thing. So healthcare, I like the Eli Lilly's. I like those Medtronics. I like these type of businesses. So definitely healthcare is a place that I think we should be as trappers. Next, I think we should be in banking. I think that the banking industry is one of the catalysts to America, right? We're talking about the banking industry alone has $17 trillion in assets, and it consists of $238 billion in revenue annually. That's a whole lot of money. All right? So banking service, we're talking about money management. We're talking about investing. We're talking about credit cards. We're talking about lending, insurances. We're talking about services. We're talking about real estate services and fintech. This is Trap Big Five. This is my starting five. I'm telling y'all how it is. Right? Banking collapses, so does America. 100%. And lastly, but not least, agriculture. I think agriculture is a place where we need to be at. We talking fertilizers, pesticides, seeds, processing of livestock. Many agriculture stocks are considered consumer staples, right? Because also artificial vegetation is a thing. We've already seen where we have labs where robots, they planting the seeds, they using this. Listen, this is a thing. As the economy grows, as we go from 6 billion to 7 billion to 8 billion people, ain't that many cows, chickens, lambs, fish, goats out here, y'all. Plant-based. They're coming up with a lot of different ways to do stuff. This is a huge industry with big profits, big cash flows, and big dividends. This is Trap's Big Five, man, so I definitely wanted to, let's clap for that, man.